Hi, I'm Robert Resch. Welcome to the Asurface Show, where we share useful information for architects, developers, general contractors, and industry-related professionals. I'm here with my good friend Jose. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Yeah, it's good to see you. Jose and I have known each other now since about 2014, and Jose is the owner of Allstate Floors and founder of Run Hope Work, and we're here today to talk a little bit about Run Hope Work. And give us an overview, man. What's Run Hope Work?
Run Hope Work was a. It came from me was I started running in the late back in 2007, and running became like a childlike experience for me. I can see why people are runners. You see little kids come and get me. That's the first game that we play.
Right.
And when I started running at a late age, and I really enjoyed it. I didn't realize that your body could do so much, they could run so much. And one of the runs that I had, and one of the things that happened to me as I was running, I was wondering, this really has changed my life dramatically. And again, I have I don't have, education. I don't have, everything that's happened to me has been out of a result of just learning from the streets or learning a better way to live, in a sense. And running was the last piece. It's like mind, body, and spirit. And when I was running one time, it just hit me. This is something I really want people to know. Because what I realized is, as I was running, I realized that one thing that is really changed my life is work. Just really understanding work.
Right.
And then I also came to me, something, work transforms any community, because it transformed mine and around me. So through running, almost was perfect. I got it. Run Hope Work. It literally came to me like that. Run Hope Work, and it was based on my experience. I get up in the morning, I either do running or some sort of exercise or so, and then I do some meditation. And that was kind of the whole part, and then I go to work. So to me, it was all those pieces together that kind of came around.
So when did you decide to take those ideas that changed your life and create a nonprofit? How did that come about?
It was simply based on that run, literally. I remember when I did my first half marathon in Philly, and I remember going to the 10-mile marker, and I'm sure if people are runners, they've ever seen this sort of run for your life. But as soon as I saw that sign, I realized I am running for my life, and that's how I took it on. And then when I realized running has so many parallels of life that is tied into my mental and physical and my spiritual part of my being.
Right.
And that's how I took on running. And it takes work, and to me running, and so Run Hope Work literally came out of just those simple three parts. And I had a friend like Matt that worked for me for a while.
Matt Cullen, right?
Which is, he's incredible. He's the one who got me running. And he would come every time and just get me, and I didn't want to do it. But once I started doing it, he always will say it's like a three-legged stool. Without one leg, you won't fall. So that's sort of what Run Hope Work is three-legged stool. You got the mind, body, and spirit.
Sure.
And as a result of that, you're able to go to work. Because also my experience since I was doing that was that I saw that through work, if those three parts are not connected, I'm not as productive.
Yeah. I'm
not as focused, and I'm not as just nice as a person.
Sure.
Yeah.
So your life was transformed. Clearly your work ethic. Yeah. I mean, you've been working since you were a kid, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And so then you found running, and you saw what running did to you physically and mentally, right?
Correct.
And then spirituality and meditation was a big part of your daily practice too.
Correct.
So you woke up one day and you said, I need to give this back. Is that how it?
No doubt, because I started thinking, because one of the things that I do is I'm always thinking of gratitude, and I realized that I was really grateful how my life has turned out.
Yep.
And it's just no way. I need to let people know. I need to let all these young people know. I need to go down to los barrios. I have to go down to the ghettos and let them know this is the way out. And I realized that really it's about working to me. simply it's about work.
Right.
You know, I can talk about the spiritual, the mental, and the physical aspect, but when it comes down to it, it's real simple. You know, running, it takes something. You gotta get up in the morning. It takes a discipline to be able to do it. It takes work, you know? So the reality is, it's a little snippet of life, you know? You get up in the morning, you don't wanna do it. Like sometimes I don't wanna go to work.
Right.
Same thing, but once I go ahead and do it, I've never had a run that I said, I shouldn't have done this. You know, you get a
Wish I
sense
didn't
of
do it.
well-being, you get a sense of like accomplishment, and you're ready to go for the next thing. So that's how work is connected to that in a sense. The mental aspect of it, you know, like, you know, we can think of meditation as a spiritual practice, but it's also the mindfulness and being able to stop and pay attention.
Right.
You know, and so one of the things that I realized that for myself, the biggest tool is between my ears.
Yep.
To be able to listen and stay still long enough. And that's a practice that's very difficult. And that takes a lot of work to be able to slow down your mind, be able to think about something. And nowadays, all these young guys, you know, not only being black and brown, that gives you like a disadvantage, it's really tough. You got phones, the focus is not there.
Right.
So simply to be able to stop and slow down and being able to say, look, you start to notice your thoughts. And you know, you're gonna go to a work site, you're gonna go to any work, you're gonna be listening to people. You need to listen. They're gonna know more than you. You don't want to react. So the ability to be able to be conscious and pay attention of what's going on in your surroundings.
Sure. So let's talk about that for a minute. Mm-hmm. So you have this idea, you're going to launch this nonprofit, and you're going to give back to the community what you've discovered, right?
Correct.
And so you create the nonprofit, the 501c3, and then you created a curriculum, right?
Correct.
And so walk us through that. What's a day in the life of an applicant or a
So a little bit to back up, I really when I first started this, it was really when the first thought came about was a couple of years before it became a nonprofit, and I started thinking in Baltimore, in Sandtown, and I couldn't get the money. It was difficult, and I realized it was more difficult than it looked. You know, and really moving to DC and being able to re-engage the community there, we were able to figure out ways to get funded, you know.
Right.
So in one of the days, an example is what happens when we get to Run Help Work. We get to Run Help Work 7:30 in the morning. The first thing that we do is do a little bit of stretching. Then we run, you know, a mile to 3 miles, depending where they are in their distance, you know. Part of that is that they end up at every curriculum, we have a 5K they get to race in.
Right.
So first we do that. As soon as we're done, it's about, you know, it's 45 minutes. We'll be complete. They come back, get a little bit, you know, they go to the bathroom, maybe a little break, and then we sit down and we have a circle. And we sit down in a circle, and then we start engaging in a conversation. How you feel? We pass a talking stick, or you want to call it some sort of object.
Right.
Then when they have it in hand, that's the only person that's allowed to talk. And we first start off with saying how you feel from 1 to 10, and they give a number. And what's really incredible about that whole process is at the beginning, nobody wants to say anything.
Right.
But it's extremely therapeutic. They all talk, they say 1 to 10, they give that sense, and then we go right to the meditation piece, which is just simply 5 to 10 minutes, depending on the state they're in.
Is it a guided meditation, or is it?
It's a guided meditation, and really I simply use an app, Insight Timer.
Right, yeah.
Maybe use that, and also some people from the outside that come in once in a while to be able to lead a meditation. And the purpose, again, is simply to be able to slow down, you know, your mind, breathing exercises, and that's what happens. And it's pretty incredible what happens in that process. We start, it's 3 months of a program. By the time they start, they don't want to talk. Midway through, it creates an incredible community they'll be able to engage, and very therapeutic based on that process. And as soon as they're done, between 10 and 10:45, depending, we take them and we either bus them to or take them over to the training centers, or we train our location, depending on what day that is.
So what type of training? Is this when they go into trade training?
They go to trade training, and right now we're doing painting, we're doing drywall, we're doing flooring, and simply because we're doing flooring, because that's my experience. You know, I started when I was 15, and really flooring is, when talking about work, you know, there's a saying that God takes care of fools.
Right.
The only right thing that I did is look for the same type of work, and I learned it. So I'm clear that working is what got me out of the neighborhood, and it was able to get me back.
So these guys are at work. How long do they go during the day with the trade?
So they're there. They're there between 4 to 6 hours,
Right.
and then at the end of the program, maybe 3 weeks prior, we have a community. We either choose the location that we got partners with the Covenant House.
Right. Yeah.
So this time around, we actually did
The flooring there.
and actually thank you for the floor
Yeah.
that you guys donated. But one of the things that we do is that we've done many projects, and one thing that we do is we have this sort of story that every neighborhood, that's no matter where it is, broken, it's always had this sort of elderly that's been there for a long, long time,
Right.
and everybody respects.
Sure.
You know, we call it the Delma story, and then we identify an elderly around the neighborhood, and then we tell her that we're going to go ahead and do their floors, paint, and we also have partners like Caramonte Construction that will come in and maybe do a sink or something plumbing wise,
Right.
and some cabinets too, and then we're able to identify that, and we go through a process of the last 2 weeks, being able to have the guys in the last training of the actual floor. And we actually do floors in an elderly home, and we transform their house, and they get a sense of just like, wow. It's really about giving it back to
Giving back
being
to the
able to live with
community.
young people to get back that for me in the program is about, you know, these are the people that made us. That's why we're here.
We've talked a little bit about how the day goes. They're 4 to 6 hours learning the trade during the day. Then they finish and they go home. They're done for the day after
Correct.
that. And so let's go back a little bit further.
And they do that 3 times a week.
3 days a week.
3 days a week, and then 2 days a week they come in at noon, and that one is just simply they do a hook, and they also do some classroom work.
Got it.
And some workforce development.
So is there any
classes.
certifications during this process?
They have a flooring certification, they have a painting certification, and they have a drywall certification.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. And just to let everyone know here that it's really, the formula is very powerful, and we're actually going to be expanding into IT and different trades. So it's not just the flooring or the construction trades. That was simply because that's where I come from.
Sure.
But the actual formula is extremely powerful and miraculous. And it doesn't matter what you do. You can be from a barber to a website builder. It doesn't really quite matter.
Sure.
That sort of 3 parts of physical, mental, and
I don't think there's anybody in society, in the world, no matter what your career is, your career path, doesn't need those things in their life to be fulfilled and enriched.
And if anyone is seeing this video, to if you need to choose or having, you know, you're willing to give some money, I think we're a great organization to give. It's difficult to actually get some money, you know. That I found out it's not easy, but it's always we need funds for sure.
Sure.
You know, the more funded we are, the better programs we have, and we're able to give, you know. So
Absolutely. So if someone wanted to learn more about Run Hope Work, where can they find you? Is there a website?
Yeah, runhopework.org.
Runhopework.org. You can see it on the bottom of the screen. Tell us about some of the contributors to Run Hope Work. I'm imagining you have some contractors or some entities that are.
For sure. The city's always been really, really great with us. I know the Department of Employment Services.
Right.
It's been a great organization. Also, I know that when we come to private partners, I know Caramonte Construction has always been incredible. Keystone's have always been very supportive.
Yeah.
They've been with us from the beginning. MCN has been with us. Also, Rudy been with us from the beginning.
Right.
And then Dante's Partners been been another one that's always been great. Dante's Partners. We have Brown Construction. We also know Blue Sky's always been very supportive from the beginning.
Right.
Which is Scotty. So we had some really great people, and also I want to just I know Lopez Associates, Josh Lopez actually was instrumental in making this happen in DC.
Sure.
Being at the beginning of that, we have incredible board that's been part of this forever. But you know, those guys I really commend, you know, and I want to these guys always believed in the program, and they always support it.
So, Jose, over the years since you founded Run Hope Work, you've done a lot of different fundraisers, everything from the 5K that you do to events at private people's home to raise money.
We just had a 5K June the 21st, right in Georgetown.
Was it a good turnout?
It was fantastic. And we'll love on June, always at the end of June, third week of June, beginning of July, we always have our annual 5K.
Is that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then throughout the year, different fundraisers and whatnot.
Yeah. I know this year we have October's always a fundraiser event that we have, and it's a sort of a cocktail party.
Jose and I had some unique experiences doing fundraising events for Run Hope Work, and one of them we put together was an event called Bike to Brooklyn. And tell us a little bit about how that came about.
Well, this is an interesting thing because this is actually I was biking and it wasn't even thought about, and I called Rob. I called you 2 days before my daughter was going to move from her dorm in New York City, and I said I was going to bike there and help her move. And I called you maybe the 2 days after, said, yeah, I'll go with you. And we literally put Google Maps in our ear and we just took off. And we ended up, I think, riding maybe 160 miles in one night to Trenton. Ended up in Philly. We had a flat.
Yeah.
We went to Trenton, and then the next morning we left another 80 or 100 miles to New York City, and it was really sketchy.
Yeah.
It was super sketchy. And you had that big giant, lunch, the whole chicken.
Oh yeah, right. The whole the family platter. I remember that. This is 2015 or so, right?
I think so, yeah. And then what happened was we ended up getting there, we came back and we had mutual friends, and we were doing a 100-mile ride that day. And matter of fact, Chuck Broski is the one who brought up, Jose, this might be a good idea to do a fundraiser for Run Hope Work. I said, okay, Bike to Brooklyn. And literally 2 months later, in October of 2015 or 16,
that's right,
we ended up having our first Bike to Brooklyn, which is pretty intense.
So over the course of about 30 hours, 260 plus miles.
24 hours. We had to do it in 24 hours.
In 24 hours, that's right.
Yeah.
And we ride straight through from Washington, D.C. to Brooklyn. We've got sponsors and tried to find participants willing and able to do it.
And it's, what is it, 270 miles?
Yeah.
And then we get to Brooklyn at 7 in the morning, and then we run a half marathon. So
that's right.
Yeah.
And what I gathered from this, and I think it's a big part of what Run Hope Work's about, is sometimes the most difficult things, the most challenging things, the things you want to do the least are the most rewarding things, right?
No doubt. That's what I'm finding out in life. No doubt about it. It's definitely this sort of bittersweet.
Right.
And that's what life is about. As much as I want to resist, but without that, it's just no way that Run Hope Work would have been alive.
Sure.
Or, it takes something, right?
It does. Yeah, it does. It takes something to wake up in the morning and go for a mile run.
Yeah.
It takes something to get out and to sit quiet and meditate.
Yeah.
It takes something to show up and go to work and give it your all. And I think it's a wonderful program that you put together, and I think it's inspirational, and I think it's so necessary that we give back what was given to us, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know that, and we know this, Rob, but it's really about service,
Yeah.
And service is where it's at.
Service is where it's at.
Yeah.
Well,
if not, I'm not such a happy person if I'm not doing something.
Right. Yep. That's the truth. Well, thank you for your service, and thank you for coming out today and talking with me. Thanks for tuning in.